I think what's changed is that the way we view our business, the way we think about the problem that Make My Trip is trying to solve. It's always good to have differentiated competition because they teach you things that you don't know organically. Now that said, I think media planning is what we have changed the most.
Hi everyone. Most of you would have used MakeMyTrip at least once in your lives. You may not realize it, but MMT, as it is known, is actually India's first e-com business of scale. It taught Indians how to book air tickets online 20 years ago. MakeMyTrip initially targeted on the American market, but turned Indiaward within a few years. It has been through many transformations since then, and that change is only accelerating. As MMT has expanded the scope of its operations, revenue has boomed. Between 2023 and 2025, it rose by an extraordinary 65% and is just short of $1 billion. The company dominates the online travel space in India with a share of well over 50%. We are speaking today with Rishi Singh. Rishi is the CMO at MakeMyTrip, and he's also the Chief Business Officer for some of its verticals. Rishi will tell us just how MakeMyTrip has been changing. Yeah, hi Rishi. Thank you so much for agreeing to be on the show. I have a bunch of questions about where the business is going, and this is a business which is changing all the time. So I have a lot of questions there. But before we go into the future, I want to ask you several questions about the past and how we got here. And the first one is that you've been with Make My Trip for almost 7 years. Is that correct? Almost
That's
seven
right.
years.
Yeah.
Right. Could you sum up how the business has changed or the company has changed in during this while?
Yeah. No, Shrikant, first of all, thanks for the opportunity. It's lovely speaking to you. Uh, yeah, I've been around here for 7 years now, and as you can imagine, two very tough years during COVID as well. I just joined Make My Trip before COVID, and I've seen the business transform in a big way. Um, so we were essentially pre-COVID a B2C business with two dominating products like flights and hotels. Uh, and somehow that was a time even when COVID wasn't there. Rajesh, who's our CEO, had this vision that we should be a multi-offering business, which basically means that whatever you need to book for your travel, we should provide those offering to our consumers. And then we should also be a multi-demand. We should be an all-channel business. Why are we limiting ourselves only to the B2C use case? We should solve for the business use case. We should solve for travel agents to kind of get content from us. So and luckily for me, I joined when we were thinking about it that how's Make My Trip going to be in the future?
Okay.
And I'm very lucky that I've been a part of that journey where we've now evolved from just being a B2C platform. uh, we have a very large corporate business where both large corporates and SMEs can book their travel. We have a My Partner product through which travel agents can now like take content and give it to their consumers. We've also expanded beyond India. UAE has become like the second important market for us, and we've just launched Saudi. In UAE, actually, in the last 3 4 years, we've become the largest OTA business in that market as well. Uh,
Okay.
and from an offering point of view, we've kind of added so many offerings that we almost have done with whatever we had envisaged with ourselves. So we have
Wow.
hotels, flights, we have alternate accommodations, which is villas, hotels, and hostels and homestays. We have visa, we have activities, we have packages. So today, actually, if you're planning to say go to Europe for a holiday, you can book right from your cab to visas, forex, insurance, obviously your flights and hotels, uh, ground transport, and very and just we are about to kind of also launch Euro like trains in Europe. So we you don't need to go anywhere else but book everything on the platform.
I know you have really, you have changed on every single dimension it would look like, right? And
Yes.
from B2C to B2B, domestic to international, the kind of channels, kind of customers, everything all together. So, actually, I had a question for later, but I'm going to put it up front here because I was looking at your figures and I'll go back to the past again after that question because I think this is the right opening for it, which is that I was looking at your revenue figures over the last, over 23, 24, 25, and I'm rounding them off. But basically, you've really jumped, from 600 million to 800 million to almost $1 billion, right? I mean, I'm rounding off the figures.
Yes.
So when you get that kind of growth and you change on so many dimensions all at once, isn't it very difficult to manage the growth?
Um,
Hasn't it been difficult?
Shikant, the answer to that is actually it hasn't been because supposing we were on our past journey of saying, okay, that we'll acquire consumers to buy hotels and flights with us, which is a very transactional way of thinking. At every
Correct.
time I ever intend to buy a flight, I'll acquire you, and every time I ever intend to buy a hotel and I'm in market, I'll acquire you to book it on us. That kind of a P&L is very difficult to manage because then there's a cost of acquisition, very thin margin line, and you balance your P&L every single time. The way we've started now thinking is that we've acquired a consumer, and we have to ensure that the consumer, we are able to map the consumer's journey. So supposing I've started my journey with Make My Trip by booking a flight, which basically means I would also need a hotel, I would also need a cab. And we start thinking that, okay, we have not acquired a transaction, we've acquired a consumer. Now, what we'll do is we'll try and ensure that we are able to fulfill his entire journey and not one part of the transaction. So, in some way, it's eased out things for us because we've started thinking a single customer view and and then ensuring that we service him. And as a result, what also has started happening is that we get a lot of organic repeat. So I think that it's actually helped us then made it more difficult. It would have been
Okay.
extremely difficult in a competitive environment to reacquire every time.
Okay, so so your view of the customer has changed. You're thinking more long term rather than oh, here's Shrikant or here's Rishi. Let's see what. So you're saying let's see what all we can do for him, right? But the point is the customer is was has traditionally been very deal based. Let me see what's the best deal that I can get, right? So has that changed in any way, customer attitude? So I mean, acquiring is one thing. I understand what you're saying, but how do you retain customers if it's a deal-based business?
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think that's a great question. See, what I would say more than deal based, the Indian consumer at large is value based. Uh, I mean, deal is a way he seeks value, but ultimately
Could you distinguish between the two?
yeah.
What do you mean by value-based
See,
as opposed to deal-based?
see, a deal is like if I tell you that you buy a hotel and get 10% off. The
Okay,
other value is that when you see the pricing on the platform, you know that for this particular hotel, you might not be able to get a better pricing outside. So I don't need to shout out a deal, but I tell you that and okay. So deal is something that again, when you take a transactional view of the customer, you
correct.
start thinking in terms of the deal because you know that he's going to come to you only once, and you have to ensure that you give him a carrot to buy. When you think value, you say, okay, this guy is going to come to me for checking every time. He's going to come and discover on my platform. I might lose him at times because someone else is giving him a better deal. But if I'm able to show him that every single time the value I provide, pretty much, Shrikant, like the 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 example I have is the philosophy of Walmart.
You
That
know what? I was going to ask you
yeah,
that this reminds me of Walmart, whatever they say, lowest prices or best
ev-
prices every single day,
EDLP,
right?
everyday low pricing.
Everyday
So
low pricing.
yeah,
Correct.
so we'll get beaten at times, and there will be transactions that we'll lose because someone is giving a great deal. But but he'll come to us as the primary platform to search and discover. And in 1 out of 10 instances or 2 out of 10 instances, we lose him because someone else is discounting.
Sure, I got it. Okay. So it's all the links in between all the parts together, correct?
Absolutely.
Rather than, yeah. Okay. So when you look at the over the last 7 years and especially pre-COVID and post-COVID, have do you see a lot of change in consumer attitudes and preferences towards travel, towards booking online? Just the whole thing of being getting out of the home.
She can change, at least change quite a bit, especially on like I won't really comment on and maybe we can do it in two parts. The first part is, has attitudes changed towards travel as a category? The answer is absolutely yes. I mean, like I dare say that for a large, see, ultimately India is a large country, but there are only around 60 million households who have the income to spend on a category like travel. Like if you
Okay.
if you're earning more less than $10,000 a year, then you are basically kind of only spending on uh, uh, maybe non-discretionary categories.
Okay.
And travel maybe is a discretionary category. But maybe for the top 30 odd million households which are affluent, travel is now becoming like a non-discretionary category. The people are saying, okay, I have to spend on
Correct.
travel, and it might mean multiple things. For some people, that one essential trip is a spiritual trip. That okay, I need to connect with my roots, and spiritual is no longer saying that okay, I'll visit a temple and come back. People are thinking spiritualism is more to it. I mean, if I'm going for a spiritual holiday, it does not just mean a temple visit. It also means connecting to my culture, eating the local food, staying, and luxury as well. So the use case might be many, but people are
Okay.
now using travel to discover themselves, connect back to your roots. It's your downtime with family. So it's becoming like an essential category for the top
So-
20-30 million households. And
Okay.
even for the fringe households, the next 20 odd million or 30 million households, again, travel is like from just taking one summer break. People are saying, okay, I'll take one summer and three small breaks. Uh, so both the frequency of traveling for leisure has gone up. So there is a large attitudinal shift. In fact, if you talk to young, and we do kind of do surveys for the younger audience, which are going to kind of move from non-earning to kind of becoming earning members of the household. For them, actually, travel comes out as the top three categories that they would want to spend on. Uh, they do not really want to spend. I mean, surprisingly, housing, housing and like an or automobile comes far below than categories like health, travel, uh,
That's interesting.
eating out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's really interesting. So, how, and if you look at how the competitive landscape has evolved, do you have different competitors in different segments, like a different competitor for your key competitors in say flights is different and for hotels is different, for package is different, bus, rail. Is that how it is that you
Yeah.
have you fight because you're the dominant player, right? So do you fight different uh, rivals in different segments? Is that how it goes?
Yeah, yes, Shrikant. I think we like is this someone we compete with head on? The answer to that question is no. So we have and we have some really good legit competitors as well.
Hmm.
Like for international hotels, booking is a good good
Right.
competitor. For our all taco business, Airbnb is a good competitor. So we have different brands competing with us on different aspects of travel. Um and
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 they are not, sorry to interrupt, Rishi, but they are not just different names, they are different types of players as well, isn't it?
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely,
That's interesting.
absolutely,
Yeah.
yes.
So, okay.
and and she can also like it's not to say that we don't respect. I mean, we absolutely respect competition, because we also get to learn from competition. It's always good to have differentiated competition, because they teach you things that you don't know organically. Some of them are large multinational companies, and hence have a much better understanding of the global consumer base. uh, but more and more, we like, I dare say that we aren't much competition focused as of now, for two reasons. A, that we think that the India travel pie is expanding in such a way, and there's so much headroom to grow, that
Right.
there's space for everyone.
Correct.
And hence you can we when we plan our growth, we now know we don't actually think about sourcing share from competition as much. We think about more white space opportunities, or areas that we don't address right now, and how do we build plays around them.
Okay. That, yeah, I can imagine. I mean, you can grow so much better by getting new people into the fold rather than trying to grab somebody else's share, right? Um, so you have grown by, I mean, I'm rounding out the figures because I think viewers find it simpler. So when I say you've gone from, say, about $600 million to almost $1 billion over the last 2 years, now is this still enormous, to on a large base to grow by almost like 65%, 66% over 2 years is amazing, right? Is this a post-COVID boom which will kind of slow down now, or is this come from specific segments because of which this extraordinary growth has taken place, or is it because people have just changed and just want to travel?
uh, Shikhan, the very initial push was because that there was latent post COVID demand.
Correct.
But but for the last 18 to 24 months, I think this is business BAU, business as usual. I mean, there are macro ups and downs. For example, this summer got disrupted because of whatever
Really?
happened
Yeah,
globally.
correct.
Uh, yeah, and the unfortunate, and again, there was a very, very unfortunate air incident that happened in India. So there are macros ups and downs, but I think that's BAU now. Um, See, our growth is essentially coming from from uh, from the overall affluence of the country going up. Every year we add around 10 odd million households who are non-affluent to affluent, so they
Mm.
become drivers for the category. The second thing is that for the same household, the spend on travel goes up far more, a little bit over indexed on the overall consumption growth for the household.
Okay.
Households end up spending a bit more on household. And a third source of growth has been that how do we capture more share of wallet by giving more offerings, and by ensuring that we don't lose our clients, our own customer base. So it's a three-pronged strategy to ensure that the first two are more macros, where it's about consumption on travel going up. But the
Mm.
second one is that by giving more and more offerings, we are bringing more of this spend online. And secondly, we are taking a higher share of the overall spend that's happening on travel.
Okay. So, when I'll go back to one question about growth, which is that when you grow so rapidly, doesn't it put a lot of pressure on profitability? Or hasn't it put a lot of pressure on profitability?
So you can't actually the reverse, because we have fixed cost leverage as well. I mean, uh,
Okay.
yeah, and our cost structures are slightly different, because our cost structures are mostly because of like a people cost, and secondly, it's the cost of hosting data, and and a server cost, and both get optimized as your transactions grow. uh, because I mean, so there's a fixed cost advantage that we get on a like on higher number of transactions.
Yeah, no, and I also realize, Rishi, I mean, I'm making a basic flaw, which is that when you buy more, I'm sure you get better deals at the back end also. So, I mean, if you're twice the size,
So,
whether it's
so
hotels,
actually, no,
airlines,
no, no,
no,
not
none of
not nes- not not not. So do we get disproportionate supply margins? The answer is no. But what happens is that see, ultimately, and also the way, if we have more consumers on our platform, which basically means we have more learning on the platform.
Sure.
To, like, if there are roughly 100 million Indians who kind of take a flight or take or book a hotel in a in in a quarter, very rough numbers.
Yeah, yeah, sure,
we
sure.
we have 100 million unique searches on our platform. Now, that gives us a huge ability to kind of, and they might not book on us, they're searching on us. But because they've left impressions on us, we've identified them, we're able to somehow use machine learning to craft journeys for them. And then instead of kind of doing a mass media campaign to acquire them, we can have very personalized campaigns saying, okay, Rishi had come to the platform. He was looking for a hotel in Goa. Basically, he was looking at the August window. He's going to kind of look at he wants to travel in Goa, or travel to a destination for leisure. Can you nudge
Correct.
him to book? Right. So I think that I think is a bigger play. That the more first party data you aggregate on the platform,
Hmm.
you're able to improve your own learning and acquire the same consumer at a far lower cost
Okay.
uh, than you would do if you're a small platform.
Okay, I'll come to the AI thing later. About how many new people are you adding every year? Just a sense of, because you're saying basically it's 30 million household stops and I add another 20, 30 million below. So if you were to put a number to how many new people are joining, coming to Make My Trip every year, how many would those be?
So roughly around 20% of our business comes from new users, which have never booked that business line
So
before.
20, I'm just repeating this, 20% of the business you'll do this year, for example, would be first-time users on Make My Trip.
Yeah. She can over the 20% number is basically like a the number for a quarter. So it might just go dip down a little because of frequent use cases, but roughly around 18 to 21% of our business will come from new users.
And how many users would you have this year? Just I have a question actually. So about
Uh, I can give you a very like that's a number we don't really give out.
it's
Uh,
okay. I
yeah,
have doesn't I
yeah.
have a question. My question actually was, who are these people and where are they coming from? And how are their needs different from the needs of people such as myself who may have used Make My Trip 8 times, 6 times, 10 times?
Yeah. Sh- Shikan, the new consumer adoption actually is across. I mean, is it a ROU story? The answer is no. It's quite democratic in that sense that they come from urban India. For us, they come from urban India. We don't really address rural India as much,
Okay.
and we remain over-indexed on the top 20 cities, even for new users, because those are the consumers
Okay.
who kind of become affluent faster. So they come from the top 20 cities only.
Correct.
Uh, they are younger, so they're people who are actually crossing over and have started taking control of their consumption. So we are over indexed on first jobbers from a recruitment point of view, and 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 but are they different in terms of buying behaviors
Yeah,
with the same
correct.
income cohort? The answer is no, Shrikant, because they are digital natives. They understand the digital world far better than the previous
Ah,
generations. So
okay.
they are actually more savvy, but also less loyal. Uh,
So they may be new to money, but they are not new to digital. That's
they're
the
not
thing, right?
absolutely
Correct.
they're not new to digital. They're not new to digital, and they're more demanding as well. I mean, and but okay, I think the
No,
big
no, so
difference.
why do you think they're less loyal? Just it's part of a general lack of loyalty to brands in that age
Yeah,
generation. Is that it?
yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a hypothesis that the newer the newer or the first jobbers, or they do not have emotional loyalty, but they have functional loyalty.
Okay.
Which basically means that running emotional brand campaigns and people coming back to their brand because just because they love the brand, I think that's going down. But functional loyalty is on the up, which basically means that if I form muscle memory saying that, okay, this brand solves my use case the best, so they'll come back for functional, for if we are able to kind of give them functional benefits versus 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 just emotional connect. So that's one. And secondly, I think mostly we tend to make this mistake that functional benefit only means cheaper pricing. It can be more. It can be that
I was
I,
about to ask you. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
functional benefit can also be that in a hyper location, supposing I'm going to Shimla, can you show me a hostel which is, and you're not discounting the hostel, but you're providing him an option which is cheaper and better suited for his needs than a hotel in the same location. So can you help them in their travel discovery in a more unique way? Can you help them find new places? So I think it's also about that. It's just not about pricing.
So could this be driven by the power of social media that if I go to a different place and I get a different picture and I get to talk about my experiences in a different way from my friends? Could it be partly that?
Absolutely. I mean,
Oh, it is.
one of the large drivers. Okay, when we say that travel is about discovery, it's also, I mean, like today our personalities are not just what we are, but they are our personalities are also augmented uh, via social platforms. So
Correct.
I am what I am, plus I'm also how my social feed looks. So absolutely.
Okay, all right. That's interesting. I wanted to particularly ask, your size has been growing and you have forayed into holiday packages. By the way, I tried it as a consumer, okay? And I was actually quite impressed at how, because I didn't want to come to make my trip because I had a sense of this is a giant company. I don't know, holiday packages, you expect personalization, you want to talk to somebody like that. There'll be some anonymous. But by the way, the experience turned out to be very good. So my question actually to you was about specifically about holiday packages was one, A, how large is it as a is it still a very small part of your business? And B, and this is more from a management point of view, how does a large company manage to do something where you have to fulfill very personal, it's provide a personalized service. It's very personal, much more than your
Yes.
hotel. Yeah, how do you do it?
Uh, she
And
can
so
answer.
firstly, how big is it for you?
See, comparatively to our size, uh, it's not amongst the largest offerings we
Correct.
have from a revenue point of view. But if you compare it to market, that okay, how does it compare with other travel companies who are just specializing on the package business? It would again be as big as any other company that you, I mean,
Okay.
comparatively,
All right.
right?
Okay.
So and your question is absolutely right that we have a very digital DNA, and and the way things work for us is that for everything we think about, okay, she can see personalization is very important for us as well. We cannot run this business without being
Correct.
without getting personalized. I think the difference between the personalization that we do versus what the packages business demands is is adding soft touches. And okay, I would I would, I can have a conversation with you and personalize, versus in the other part of our business we kind of derive that personalization through machine learning. So that's the big difference. um, Now the way we're doing it right now is that the holiday business is run very independently, like a SBU within MakeMyTrip, pretty much like
Okay.
the corporate business as well. So whichever businesses requires a different DNA, we try to cut it off a bit, give them dedicated tech product and business bandwidth, and let them kind of maneuver their own path. So for our packages business, supply is independent, technology is independent, product is independent, and the business teams are independent. And it's run by SBO lead. Uh,
So even culturally, they would be somewhat different from a purely digital play, right?
yeah, there are cultural nuances. In fact, our packages businesses, and I don't think it's planned like that, but it sits on a separate floor as well. So in
Oh,
some
good.
ways, they have their own identity as a business unit.
Okay.
And very similarly, for we have now a very decent. group booking business, which is mice in the industry terminology.
Correct.
Again, from a contribution overall to Make My Trip, it is still very small. But if you compare it with other group business bookings that exist in in the country, it's a very salient business, a large business comparatively. And very
Okay.
similarly, it's run differently. There is a leader who runs it. Culturally, also slightly different than the B2C DNA. But we try and not to play around. I mean, do or not to kind of over oversimplify things for these business by saying that you adopt tech, but ultimately we do kind of ensure that wherever possible they leverage
Hmm.
the technology that Make My Trip has to ease out their own lives.
Okay. You talked in the beginning, about your foray internationally. What has driven that? So one could say that you have so much money to invest, you could invest it in India, you could invest it abroad. It's a question of money, it's a question of resources, bandwidth, everything. So why the imperative to go abroad? I mean, could you just give me a
Yeah.
broad
Yes.
view?
uh, Shikhar, A, that India remains like the priority market for us. I mean, if we had an investment choice between putting money in a new global business versus an India business, we would always kind of prioritize India over anything else.
Okay.
But we also started thinking that across the world, that 50 million number I told you that resides in India, there are 30 million affluent Indian households who live outside India. And
Sorry, could you repeat that? I didn't get that.
there are 30 million affluent households, Indian households, that live outside India. People who live in,
Oh,
yeah. And a lot of these households, especially in markets like UAE and maybe US as well, are are people who have not gone there permanently, but they have gone on work visas and they'll come back. So our
oh,
starting point was that let's address all Indian households because they have affinity to Make My Trip. Why would an Indian who when moves to USA would shift from Make My Trip to a secondary app? So we started building content and platform and payments to be globally available. That how do we make my trip globally available for every Indian? But but then the GCC market was a very interesting market because a large percentage of that population, like for in UAE, 20% of people are are from India. So we
okay.
started thinking that if we have now made content for that market, we have payments for that market, we have flows, onboarding flows which have been built for a global platform. Why would we not at least start looking at some markets where market growth is high, payments is high, online is high, affluence is high, and a large part of that market is in like are people of the subcontinent origin. We'll not have to spend so much on just building brand awareness. That's how we
Okay.
started UAE, and we were pleasantly surprised because our adoptions were extremely fast. And once people from subcontinent started transacting on Make My Trip UAE, then we had revenues to spend on on acquiring other nationalities as well, on building an Arabic platform for the local population. So in some way, it's been a virtuous cycle that we started with kind of focusing on Indians, but then the revenue pool allowed us to kind of build it more holistically.
Are you getting some people who are not Indians who are using Make My Trip now?
Seeing a lot. I mean, now we have a
Really?
full-fledged Arabic platform in UAE. And like I told you, like in UAE, we are now the largest OTA, which basically means that multiple nationalities use us for their travel. So we have obviously we have a lot of we're quite strong with the subcontinent population, but we are very strong with uh, the Philippines population living out of UAE.
So
We're
how,
very
but how, I'm just curious, how did they, because you've not been, it's not like you've been there for 10 years, right? This foray is fairly new. So why would they try a platform like yours? I mean, have you promoted it heavily? Is it, I mean, why would they use Make My Trip rather
yeah,
than
yeah.
some other
Shikhar,
platform?
for the last 3 years, we've been actively marketing. We've been
Okay.
actively marketing for to other other nationalities. We've been like We are the most downloaded app in that market. So
Okay.
like a very very typical marketing playbook to kind of acquire
Okay. Cool.
consumers.
Okay. And is there something very different in your experience, your international experience? What is the stuff that has really surprised you about it? Apart from the good stuff, like, oh, a lot of people are using it, etc. From a customer behavior point of view, anything? Or is it, hey man, they're Indians, they behave the same way, whether they're
No, no,
there or here?
the
Are they very
consumer
different?
no, the consumer behavior is extremely different.
Really? Like how?
See, first of all, simple things like what are the important, like when you think about travel, you think about markets of origin, and then where do people go? So where do people go are very different markets. Our initial content is all built for the India point of sale. So we start
Correct.
learning then that what are the important P0 like P0 destinations out of that market and how do we build for it.
But sorry,
Uh,
what P0? Sorry, P0
oh,
would be.
sorry, priority. What are the priority markets? What is the
Okay.
Pareto for that market?
Okay.
So the Pareto for UAE and the Pareto for India is extremely different. I mean, if you live in UAE, you have access across the world because the way the Gulf carriers are connected across the world, and
Correct.
secondly, Europe is like a 4 hour flight. Like Europe, it's like Indians going to Dubai,
Correct.
people from Dubai going to Europe and CIS. So destination market changes when you go beyond the Indian consumer base. For example, in India, a lot of our international marketing is done also by saying that we'll give you content that Indians like. For example, we have a full campaign on which is saying get Indian food in our international hotel. Now that changes completely because now you have to get content which is relevant for that market, and some of it can be ideologically different as well because if you want to target Saudi, then you have to instead of saying Indian food, you have to suddenly say halal food available, right?
Correct.
So so the nature of content changes. Also, the family structure. In India, your family leisure is a four-pack leisure. In UAE, it's mostly three. It's like two adults and a kid. The configuration of I mean, what kind of hotel room is required? Do you need a two
Everything.
plus two or do you need 2+1?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so there are changes. There are some of these changes which are extremely different than so content changes completely, and then the ecosystem changes as well. Like payments,
Okay.
like how payments is like for example on India, a fair amount of payment now happens on UPI, which is very different from the way
Yeah.
it
Yeah. I
happens
can.
on
Yeah.
in a different market.
Yeah. Okay. So now coming to AI, how do you look at it at an overall level, and specifically how has it changed the game for you, assuming it has?
Uh, she can like see the thing is the kind of adoption. Okay, what is AI? And right now AI is more taken as generative AI, but
It is
but
actually. It's fine.
yeah, but AI has existed for a long period of time. There are a lot of use cases that we were solving using AI and ML before as well. But what's happened
Okay.
in the last 1 odd year on on conversational AI that people can converse with AI and get answers. No, that that's been a true disruption. It whatever it took internet to get adopted or smartphones to get adopted in 10 years, gen, AI led conversations have done in maybe 2 years time. So Indians have widely kind of adopted to using to using AI for conversations and
So how do you use that?
so we and again because a lot of this is still very early stage. So we have we have multiple charters on. So the most important ones which I've actually started paying results as well have been around productivity. For example, can we solve post sale using AI? Do you need to call an agent or can you self help your queries? So those are some things that we adopted very early and they've started paying off as well.
Okay.
The other area is that can you make a booking using conversational AI? Instead of going to the app, can you converse with the app and make a booking? Again, now today, if you want to make a flight booking by just talking to Make My Trip on the app, you can do it. So
Okay.
some of the easy ones, I would say low hanging ones, we've been able to solve for and also commercialize. But I think the big question ahead is that where do consumers search for travel? Uh, till now, Indians would search on travel either on Google or would come to us to discover where to go, how to go, what are the pricing, uh, and again some of the complex queries we would not be able to solve. For example, if you try and come on the app and make a complex itinerary, maybe we weren't being given the current technology and the 2 by 2 surface of the app. Some use cases we struggle to solve as well. Now on conversations you can like you, you can talk and kind of refine your query, and we'll also have a better understanding of what do you actually want, and instead
Okay.
of making, and we can make the entire process iterative. So one of our large fundamental areas of work is that Myra is our inbuilt conversational AI. We are trying to build on Myra, saying that okay, you can converse with the app and build a complex itinerary. So
Okay.
that's the second part. The third part is that what happens to earlier, what would happen is that you would search on Google, and then using search ads, we would try and own the query. Now, if you're searching on OpenAI or Perplexity, then how do we run this process? That where is the handshake that's happening between the conversation and the app that's going to finally fulfill? So those are things, Shrikant, we are thinking about. We are also thinking not alone. We are trying to think partner and also work closely with Google and Microsoft. Uh, but yeah, but yeah, we're onto it. Like I said, some successful commercialization, some work in progress, and some thinking.
But you know what, Rishi? I was just thinking that if somebody's checking, say, give me a 7 day itinerary in Ladakh on, say, Perplexity, and it's removed. You can't use Google Ads to get there. But at least Make My Trip has the advantage that there's a very high chance that after they've completed that, they'll first think of Make My Trip and come here. But I think the smaller players, they will probably have a bigger issue with this. No?
Um, Shrikant, just a very counter answer, that is
Yeah,
that
please go
maybe
ahead.
a smaller player starting today might just start very fresh and build a solution which is meant for a different ecosystem. And that's why, Shrikant, I think the way we are thinking is that we have to be Make My Trip, but we also have to be, we're forcing ourselves to also think like that, like that small company. So between again within Make My Trip, we have a pod that is specifically working only on thinking ahead, and saying that okay, how would a fresh business think about travel in today's time?
Okay, let's
Led by a CTO. That, okay, think that if you were to start today, how would you think about travel?
yeah, sure. Okay. And really, I think my last question, which is that what do you see as the role of advertising for your business, apart from the very, Google Ads type of that part of the business, um, and the creative part as well as the media mix. How do you see it, and how has your view changed over the last 5, 7 years?
Yes.
What
Uh,
advertising can do for you?
Sh- Shikan, like advertisement, like is remains like very important for us. Uh, because principally we work on two broad matrices. The first one is that how do we keep ourselves, because see, travel isn't a frequent use case even for the very affluent households. At best it's once a quarter kind of a use case. So you're not coming to travel every single day or every single week. uh,
Correct.
maybe 3 to 4 times a year is the opportunity we have. So so the two things that we keep on monitoring is that how is the mental availability and how is the physical availability. Our mental availability is that whenever you think of travel, does Make My Trip come as one of the products available? And
Correct.
secondly, when you're trying to book travel, do you have our app installed on your mobile phone? So two clean matrices of being of awareness and and mobile penetration or app penetration. And hence to build mental availability, I think we can't do away with with the very traditional way of thinking that how many times does a consumer need to see you and
Correct.
how much does that message resonate with the consumer. Now that said, I think media planning is what we have changed the most.
Oh,
That
really? Yeah.
that how do we think about media? Do we because what's also happened is that there are multiple channels available, and we've further complicated life of marketers by saying that there's top funnel marketing, there's bottom funnel
Yeah.
marketing,
Yeah.
so there's brand marketing and there's performance marketing. What we have tried in the last 2 3 years is to collapse everything and say there's nothing called top funnel marketing, bottom funnel marketing. There,
Okay.
there, there is a need to talk to the consumer, and you talk to the consumer multiple time points. You talk to him differently when he's not looking at travel, and you talk to him differently when he's in market and looking for travel. When he's looking
Ah,
for travel, it's more about discovery. Your content has to be very different. It has to tell him this is the hotels he can book, this is the flights he can book. The channels should be such that ultimately they should lead him to the app for him to book. When he's not in market, you have to remind him about Make My Trip is where your content needs to be more consuming. He should love watching your content. It should remind him, he should just be at his cerebral, I mean his mind, that there's another good business that I can engage with in the future called Make My Trip.
right. Right. No, this is such an interesting way of looking at it, that when you're in the market, when you're not in the market. And I think their frame of mind is very different, right?
Yes.
Then they're attuned to different messages. This is great. Uh, Excellent, Rishi. That's really fascinating. I mean, do you see the same kind of growth happening this year or in the coming years?
Um, she can, no, absolutely. I think, see, this particular year has been a tough year for travel overall, but still we are seeing buoyancy. I mean, out of all categories, travel still remains buoyant, and I dare say that both because travel is also kind of built on infrastructure.
Hmm.
Like the road infrastructure in India is improving. The number of airports is going to increase.
Correct. Correct.
Both our top two metros now will have multiple airports, and then Air India and Indigo both are going to add capacity, like unlike any other nation in the world. So I think we should ideally see faster growth if not the same kind of growth in the future as well.
Okay. Wonderful, Rishi. That's really great talking to you. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the conversation too. It
No,
was certainly learning for me.
no, Shikha, it was
Okay.
fantastic speaking to you.
Yeah. Wonderful. Yeah. Thank you very much, Rishi.
Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.